Um, I'm just trying to get in the habit of journaling every morning just to check in. Um, and I didn't have any profound dreams or realizations or anything like that. Um, I did have a dream where I was like in South America or something, like really south. And then people were talking about, I was like with my mom or something. And we're like, yeah, we should just go to Alaska. It's a short flight. It was like, short flight. It's on the, I was like, oh, you can go down. I don't think there's anything, uh, I don't think there's a secret in there. Um, my sleep is great. My peace is great. Like, definitely journaling helps. Um, what I was thinking yesterday, like my GPS not working and then turning on the wrong street, and there just happens to be a car right there with a brand new license plate that says 666. That seemed kind of suspicious. I was like, was it a good thing or a bad thing influencing me? You know? I could see that it was, I mean, a lot of things had to happen for that to happen. Like, had to be sick and stop at the gas station, and that specific gas station, and then the GPS not work, and then turn into the wrong street, then see the plate. And then, of course, coming back, then seeing that plate, I just assumed guardian angels. Why don't I hear more from them? Well, to be fair, I see synchronicity all the time. I see, like, right now, I probably see 222 more than anything. So, Wayne Dyer said, when you're in flow with the universe, synchronicity becomes the norm rather than the exception. So, like I am in flow, I suppose. Um, and I guess like, energetically, I can feel that I am in flow, that I'm not, mm, my energy's good, my sleep is good, my strength is coming back, I'm filling out again. I feel more or less normal. But I think I've been through so much recently that I'm just still like kind of, it's like a fighter after 15 rounds of boxing. It's like I won, but it doesn't feel like it. You know, I'm just like drained, just tired. Um, I had plans with my brother and a friend later today. They got canceled, and I was supposed to go to a birthday party. And I was thinking I didn't want to go. I wanted to hang out with my brother and my friend. And I'm thinking that I'm being, you know, in your spiritual path, you're supposed to do things that make you uncomfortable. So my last relationship was an example of that. I did something that, like, I could see I would be uncomfortable, but the universe needs your recklessness and your wisdom, right? So um, you learn from being uncomfortable. You don't learn from playing it safe. You don't learn from um, not taking any risks. So I took the risk. What's the worst that could happen? Feel bad for a little bit, learn something. Um, so I guess I'm going to that party, and I guess we'll see what happens. But I'm really paying attention to when a door closes and another door opens, and really just going with the flow of the universe. I'm not resisting. I'm not saying I want this to happen. I'm like, just send me where you need me to go. You want me to go to class? Okay, so I didn't go to that class yesterday, and I was on my way to the gym, and then it's the gym I like better, but I saw a sign that said turn around. I was like, all right, fuck, like I trusted it last time, I'll trust it this time. I'm just gonna follow. And then I go to the other gym, and then I run into a friend, and that friend says, "Oh, let's get lunch after this." So we go to lunch with him, and I go to lunch with him and his friends. And one of the guys, his license plate is 333. It's a custom plate. So I started talking to him about it. And as we were talking, like, me and this guy think the same. He actually read a Wayne Dyer book, Conversations with God, in prison, and he's really successful now, and sees the world very similarly to me. So like he thought, God put me in prison so that I would find him. Like, he actually turned it around. Um, like, he realized that he didn't have the distractions, he didn't have the friends that were bad influences, all these things, and he saw it as a like divine intervention, which is like the universe is happening for you, not to you. So um, he was talking about how he's dating a girl with an OnlyFans, and she's a good girl, doesn't post like sexual stuff. It's just bikini photos. She makes $100 grand a month, and I was like, so how do you deal with that if you're on the spiritual path? He's like, I know what she does for a living, and I feel the energy of all these men giving energy to her. And he's like, there's like a dark cloud following me. I have to ground myself. I have to go in the ocean. And I was like, wow, like this sounds exactly like, you know what I mean? Like, he thinks the same way I do. And he was talking about how um, she said that whenever you tell me to stop, I'll stop. Like, whenever you tell me to be done, I'll be done. And he's like, I'm not going to tell you to be done. Like, how could I? She bought a house for her mom and dad and did all this stuff. And he's like, I can't tell you to stop doing that. Um, but he did recognize that what she's doing in the world is creating negative energy. He's like, she's like getting all these men lustful and stuff, and he thinks that's a bad thing. It's like interesting that you can recognize it and still kind of um, mitigate. You know what I mean? And then I asked him why his license plate was 333. He said that he's the first person in 3 generations to live to 33. And then it was always like a number. I was like, well, I've been seeing it a lot recently. And technically, I told him how I was like essentially guided to the gym and then ran into these guys and then had lunch with them. And like, we had profound conversations. We were exchanging. I was telling him, have you heard this quote? Like, what you seek is seeking you. Have you heard this quote? Have you heard? He's like, yeah, I've heard all that. Um, he's not quick with quoting like I do, but he recognized it. And then he showed me one that I hadn't seen. And I took a picture of it. So it was like interesting that instead of going to a class to sit there and take notes from someone from mystery school and learn whatever the fuck she was doing, like, the universe literally pushed me somewhere to learn and link and sync with a like-minded individual. Um, so that was pretty interesting. It's worth noting. Now I know from my unconscious state, or what it would look like to any random person, like, these are just random events. They're not connected. They don't mean anything. Like these, but your life reflects that. Your unease and your inability to function in the world and your inability to control external factors. You know what I mean? Like you're fighting something and you're deliberately ignoring when God says no to something. And then when your life suffers because of it, you think God's unfair, it doesn't exist, or life's unfair. And I mean, like you're doing it to yourself. So it's an important thing to be open to. And I think I would have loved if someone taught me this when I was a kid, but I wouldn't have learned as much. So I think like you accept it and see it when you are ready. The other thing I was thinking about was family has the exclusive privilege of telling us the truth, feeling our wrath, and then staying in our lives. Anyone else who tells you the truth or tries to help you, you're going to hate him and cut him out of your life, and it's going to feel like an attack and all this stuff. But you have those same feelings with family, but you can treat them like shit and they're not going anywhere. Me, if you treat me like shit, I'm fucking gone. Thank you very much. Um, but like no one wants to be told they're doing something wrong. No one wants to be, like that lady that uh, told Carl Jung, "Why is everyone mean to me?" And he said, "Why are you mean to everybody?" He knows how projection works. You're seeing in the world the reflection of yourself. One of my favorite quotes is another one is, "A man's opinion of the world is also a confession of character." So if you see everybody as being annoying and this and that and the other thing, a narcissist, like what do you think you are? What do you think that you? That's what you see because that's what you are. You're looking at a reflection. And I've been consciously trying to change my perspective when I interact with people or what I expect from people, and like um, it really starts there. It really starts with your inner monologue and your inner thoughts. And it's interesting, like if I'm around people that are like, they're up and down with every family member, they're up and down with every, what I mean? There's always like there's always a fire to put out. Um, that's a dangerous person. It's a dangerous person because their feelings are the most important thing to them. So they don't care who they hurt. And the family is dysfunctional. The family is able to stay together still, but it's not because they communicate well. It's because they're family. Like families just do that. Um, and in my case, like, my hands are tied with with anybody really, but with my family, it's like nothing that I've learned is getting through to them. No one's on the spiritual path, and there's this concept of chosen ones. So I talked about how trauma is stored in our DNA. So even, it's probably why we find things to be traumatized by, is we're already traumatized and we're looking for a reason to validate that feeling. We're pre-traumatized. It's in our DNA to be traumatized. And then something happens and then you're like, this is why I'm traumatized. This is why I can't let go. This is why I can't be happy. This is why I can't love, frankly. And the chosen ones are the people in their family line who take it upon themselves to heal this generational trauma, that can see the patterns, that can see uh, there's a better way, that something's missing, that everybody, like we're all traumatizing everybody around us all the time. Like at a certain point, it's unavoidable, but we can't control other people. We can control how we react to things. And I'm deciding not to be traumatized by anything. Like I'm deciding that, like I've had very, very bad relationships. And it's no mysteries because my parents had a bad relationship. So, I was used to the dysfunction. I thought that no matter what's done to me, I'm supposed to stay and I'm supposed to be a rock and whatever, because that's what my dad did. And, if someone's really emotional and angry at you, it means they care about you. Like, I guess that's true, but it doesn't mean it's a good thing. And we teach people how to treat us by what we're willing to tolerate. And it was my mistake, um, just like it was my father's, by tolerating things that, I don't deserve. I didn't deserve any of it. Um, but this is why it's important to recognize patterns, and this is why you're drawn to certain people. Is it's you're drinking the same poison until you're immune to it. You know what I mean? So like, is the next thing that comes in my life, is it a person who won't trigger me in any type of way and will never have any problems, or is it they'll still trigger me, but I don't react the same way? That I won't traumatize. I won't slip into an unconscious state or lose my path or lose my boundaries or what makes me me. You know what I mean? And I think you get tested first, and then the next thing comes. But this is why it happens. We're repeating history, so it's your subconscious mind is guiding you to a lesson, and you're going to call it fate because you're unaware that it's you doing it. In this way is how we are projecting reality. We are creating reality. So reality is what we think it is. What happened to us isn't what happened to us, it's what we believe happened to us, and everybody believes they've had it really tough. Ask Elon Musk and Bill Gates if they had an easy life. No one says it was easy. No one thinks the keys were handed to them. It's our job, personally, to do shadow work, to uncover our shadow, to start exploring ourselves. And when you do that, and you're doing it for yourself, not for anybody else, um, when you do that, you are finding God. Like, it's unavoidable. You'll have to take my word for it until you do it, but you start to see the world differently. You start to see how you are the architect of your own misery. And when you have this perspective shift, life will never be the same. You'll never feel lost and alone. You'll never feel overwhelmed. You'll never, I mean, it's work. It takes time to get rid of those things. But it's not going to happen under any circumstances without self-discovery. There's no pill for it. There's no converting to this. There's no going to a Reiki person. There's no, or mystery school. It doesn't exist. You have to do the work on yourself, for yourself. And then when you do that, your vibration raises, and then you attract the right thing. There's a lady, Abraham Hicks or Esther Hicks, and I don't know if that's the same person or the daughter of the other one, but she talks about setting off rockets of desire. Like, I see a lot of her videos. And she talks about manifestation, and she talks about raising a vibration. It's all the same stuff that I talk about. Talks about chosen ones. So I listen to this stuff, and it's very interesting, and I like the type of spirituality that deals with your inner world, because that is the source of all your pain and the source of all your happiness. So if you can fix that, no matter what happens in your life, you'll be Gucci Mane. I hate that I said that. I was watching a clip online of Family Feud where they were naming the top 10 best rappers, and Tupac was number 2. Jay-Z was last, which I agree with, and Biggie was like number 5. I was like, who's on this list? And they're naming people with Lil in front of their name. Is like, that's not true. Nobody with Lil is top of anything. They're little. I digress. I think that I have to think this out more. But this is what I'm thinking this morning. It's like the thoughts are forming, and I think now that I'm saying it out loud, I have more to think about, like while I'm working out or going on with my day. Um, but out in the interest of being forthright and honest, I think it's probably important to post this as well, so you can see my thought process. You can see what's coming in my head, and it's not like a polished, it's not a podcast. There's no production crew. It's just me talking to me. I'm figuring things out. I'm turning lead into gold. So, um, nothing's really eating at me. Nothing's really like tugging me in a direction. I just have thoughts, and then I explore the thoughts. And this is a season where I'm supposed to do that. I know that this is the perfect time because I don't have many responsibilities. Like when you're in a relationship, you have responsibilities that have nothing to do with your own well-being. And definitely when you have kids. My friend was talking about how I'm a father first, then a husband, and then like whatever's left over, I have time for me. And you're not really like sleeps with a CPAP machine and shit. Like even in his sleep, he's not living for himself. So I'm fortunate that I get to do this inward discovery and without distractions. But because I live in this same world you do, I keep feeling like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing something. I'm supposed to be dating. I'm supposed to be like doing social events. I'm supposed to. It's like I'm not supposed to do shit. If you're lonely when you're alone, you're in bad company. And like the more I've gone into journaling every day and exploring my thoughts and emotions, like your emotions are your soul crying out to you. So you're supposed to pay attention to them. They're not supposed to lead you. I mean, they do lead you often to a lesson or to a brick wall that you're gonna have to, either climb or break through. But being afraid of your emotions isn't the answer. You need to understand it. So if I feel like I'm scared to be alone, if I'm scared to be not busy, that's where I need to go. I was scared to enter in my last relationship because I could see that like it reminded me of everything that fucked me up to begin with. It reminded me of my mom. And there's a comfort in it, and there's also like this is the big psychological thing that Freud said. Like Freud's entire study was basically like we are seeking out the relationship with a parent that we have unresolved trauma with. And Jung made it more complex. Instead of you want to fuck your mom, this basic, like it's a sex thing and we're animals or whatever that Freud said, he's like, no, he called it libido to separate. It's not a sexual desire, it's a soul desire to figure things out. Like we each have a specific thing that we're supposed to figure out while we're here. And while you're, distracting yourself with shit that doesn't matter, you're not figuring out the real thing. You're not working on it. And you're just kicking the can down the road. No matter where you go, there you are. You're eventually going to have to face it. Your life is going to suffer, I promise, no matter what, unless you start digging. That's just how it works. There's no getting around it, I wish. And I talked about it. Like when I met those really rich people, those people did the least work. Like they ran and ran and ran, and they're just trying to run out the clock. They're hoping they die before they, have a full-on meltdown. self-discovery is the spiritual path. Self-discovery is the path to enlightenment, to finding a higher power, whatever you think that is. Um, you don't have to have the same beliefs I do, but it's interesting that, I just met a guy who had a very different life than me, and he thinks the same way. And he's got gray hair too. Like, you could tell life takes a toll. It takes a long time, and you need to be old enough that you have enough to look back on and to make a pattern of. It's not possible to be enlightened when you don't have experience. Knowledge is of the past, wisdom is of the future. So, I understand that, like, my relationship with my mom's never been better. She doesn't trigger me. I feel a great deal of love and compassion for my mom, and forgive her for, not knowing better or not doing the things that I wanted and all that stuff. But in the world I live in, I still come upon Mom, which means there's something unresolved, which means that's why I sought it out. That's why the universe was pointing me, hey, you have to figure this out still. You're not ready yet. So in that dream about the siren, I went into the underworld with the siren. And I think that is, the metaphor was, that was my relationship. I went into unconsciousness, and I went into what I had already climbed out of, to see if I can swim back up, to see if I could bring her with me. And the metaphor with Ladybug, I can't. Nothing. I can't do anything other than save myself, frankly. Which is, I keep reading about how, you're not a drop in the ocean, you're the ocean in a drop. I contain God, so I am also part God. So I should be able to manifest whatever the fuck I want. Why can't I? How come I can't save people the way Jesus did? How come I can't do this or that? Or make people see, like Jung said. And I think at the end of many spiritual practices, there's a matter of just letting go, because I am a man. I have a spiritual component, but there are spiritual forces that have knowledge and plans far beyond what I do. So, the reason I can't help someone is I'm not supposed to. I was supposed to learn. And every attempt I made was met with vicious resentment and vicious, it was taken as an attack. It's like, you don't understand, I'm trying to help you. I want you to not suffer. It has nothing to do with making you a better match for me, or, you know what I mean? It's like, I know what it's like. That's where I came from. And I've been, I guess, with my mom, trying to fix that my whole life. With my relationships, trying to fix that my whole life. And it's interesting that my dream ended kind of ambiguously, like going into the abyss, going into the dark, and then waking up. It's like, I don't know how it ended. But I know that in order to love, you have to risk being hurt. That comes with it. And then if your heart is guarded, you're never gonna You know what I mean? It's never going to work anyways. So what are you doing? So it's just a matter of realizing that no matter what, like, yeah, we can get hurt. Things suck sometimes. People suck sometimes. Uh, but everything will be okay. And I think obviously, like if you have proof of a higher power, that's a much easier sentence to digest. If you don't, then it's the scariest thing in the world, getting hurt. It's the scariest thing. It's like I might never be normal again. I might never recover from this. I'll never financially recover from this. But when your heart is guarded, your life will reflect that. You'll a guarded person never gets what they want. So you have to conquer your fear. So drink the poison over and over again until you're immune from it. So um, I just experienced where I went into it, and over again I was tested, and I didn't have a fear, and I didn't have I didn't lose my path at all. And then um, because I didn't hold my boundaries, and I didn't do continue, like I wasn't journaling. I wasn't continuously analyzing. I didn't realize how far I drifted. And then when the inevitable push pull thing happens again, and then you're discarded, you're no longer of narcissistic supply or whatever. Um, all of a sudden, all of the emotions flood back. It's like, oh, this familiar feeling of I'm not good enough for somebody, or I'm not lovable, I'm not this or that. Like that voice in your head comes back, and none of that's true. So why am I telling myself that? It's like once you start to like face your demons, you realize like you invented it. You invented the reason to be upset. There is no reason to be upset. Like going into it, I thought this is what's going to happen, and that exactly happened. What is there to be upset about? My hope was that if I have a high vibration, and like I have these quotes, and I have this ability to regurgitate my own lessons in a way that resonates at least with people that have eyes to see. I thought, like, what's the worst? I'll be fine. I'll be fine regardless, right? So why not try? Why not see what God has meant for me here? And I don't regret it. I don't regret it at all. I don't regret any mistakes. Um, it's how you learn. And definitely I'm more resilient again. I'm better prepared for fatherhood. That's I'm I'm being prepped to be the man I need to be. So morally righteous, and you know what I mean, like uh, unflappable, immovable. I'm being tempered, and like steel has to be broken down and heated up and like bent over and over and over again until it becomes strong. Um, but yeah, like the part of your brain that's afraid of pain, that's it's the oldest part of your brain that comes from fight or flight from when we were dumb animals. It's a survival thing. It's like, how am I going to survive if I feel bad? Um, but this too shall pass. It's always, you just have to think it through. It's really all there is to it. So yeah, I'm not afraid to be open to love. I'm not afraid to be hurt again. I'm not afraid of most things that I used to be afraid of. And there's a freedom to that. And that's what I want to teach people. That's what I want to share. That's, I guess, why I go through these things. It's like, honestly, this last relationship, if I got nothing out of it, like these journals are, to me, it's going to be very useful and profound. Um, and not to diminish the relationship, like I feel a great deal of love for that person, but there is a reason behind everything, and it's never more true than for the times we get hurt. Those are the times you know God is with you most, because like maybe you being late to this appointment isn't, or getting a ticket, or these small things that upset you. I still think those happen for a reason, but the big ones, you were meant to meet this person. You're meant to be hurt in this way. You're meant to figure it out. You're meant to do something from it, create something from the energy. So I have had a problem with finding a creative outlet. I don't want to draw. I don't want to fucking make pots. I don't want to. It's like it doesn't appeal to me, and it would feel like work. But what I do find a creative outlet is this: um, storytelling. And the friend that I had dinner with the other night was saying that, I'm I get my like work and mental stimulation from this person, and I get my like sexual stimulation from that person, and then I get my spiritual stimulation from you. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like I didn't even think we were that close. Um, or that I was that important, I should say. Um, and then they were saying that they were discussing this with someone, and they were like, how do you find a partner that stimulates all three? And the person said, you're never going to find someone that stimulates all three, that meets all your needs. And I thought about it, and I don't believe that actually. I think we get it when we do the inner work. And I guess that's how you know you're not there. That's like, my friend told me, like, God will test you by sending you something that's close to what you want, but missing something. Um, and look around, everybody settles. Everybody you've ever known has settled. How many people are like, oh, they were destined to be together and they're the perfect couple and they don't have any? I've never heard of it. But how many people are doing the inner work? How many people know about alchemy or Jung or fucking, even if they have a spiritual practice, a God, they're ritualizing it. They don't have any relationship with God. It's belief, which is a doubt. It's not knowing. So, uh, yeah, everything happens for a reason. So there's no reason to be upset. You just need to figure out the reason. And when I didn't understand the reason, I was really scrambling. I really was feeling like, my soul was crying out. My soul was really upset, was really trying to get my attention. It was like really, to the point I got really sick, to the point like couldn't eat, and it's uncomfortable. You have to risk being uncomfortable to grow. You're uncomfortable anyways, I promise. So you might as well learn how to fucking get out of it. It was like when I used to drink, I would rather take shots than drink something. It was like, I'd rather suffer for less time. Let's get it over with. Let's get to the end result. Why drink something that burns my insides over a long period of time? And lower my vibration, sever my connection to God. Somehow, even when I think I'll do 5 minutes, I talk a fucking lot. But I have a backlog because the entire time I was dating someone, I was silent. I wasn't even allowed to talk to her about any spiritual stuff. She shut me up. And then, yeah, cut me off from the people that I do talk to. It was kind of funny. Yeah, it's a common isolation tactic. Trust me only, and then I'll constantly abandon you also. Okay, on it. All right, I'll listen to you. You sound like you're a stable genius. You know what you're doing. Um, that's a roundabout way of saying it's my fault. Everything's always my fault. Uh, okay, I think that's enough. I think I got it out. Um, on with my day, and then I mean each day seems it hasn't started yet. I've already discovered something. I've already accomplished something by doing this. So uh, onward I go, and I'll pay attention to the synchronicities and signs of the world and see what I'm supposed to be doing and where I'm supposed to go and who's supposed to be here. Um, this is an exciting time. I see that now. Yeah, thank God. Thank God. All right. Let's see.